we'll sneak you over there, get in this truck or whatever, and there's nothing but girls in there. But on the way there, you're going to have to do X, Y, and Z.
So, Dr. Butler, you got anything you want to add to this subject? I feel like you might got some expert opinion to add to this.
No, I don't have an expert opinion on this. You the kingpin.
You the prostitute? I'm pimping you?
No, I'm coming to work.
Buddy Lee,
I'm just in management. That's all.
Think more about yourself, brother.
I'm in management.
Oh, you in managing? So you managing the home?
So Buddy
Lee.
I say I get it. You the lock and he the key. I got you. Got him.
Oh my God.
Welcome to the TMF podcast, where we have too many feelings. I'm your host, T. Staples, and I'm joined today by...
It's your man, Freddie B.
Freddie Bisco. What's up, baby? How you doing?
Gucci, man.
And who else we got on the line?
It's the good doctor, Dr. Buddy Lee.
Now, see, he always says that, but we don't know if you're a good doctor. We haven't evaluated you yet, so we're going to say Dr. Buddy Lee. And our special guest for today, who's on the line?
Hello, it is attorney Corletra Mance, a.k.a. CeCe.
CeCe, what's up? Hey, look.
What up, though?
Hey, we'll bring you all these feelings from the comforts of our homes. That's right, 100% remote. So if you feel our show, show us how you feel by subscribing so you can get notified when the new episodes drop. And if you like what you're hearing, send us a message. Our handles are in the description below. We love to hear how you feel. In today's episode, we're going to attempt to have a conversation about immigration in America today. But first, it's time for a moment I like to call the internet Never Lost. Ooh, that's right. In my attempt to navigate through the endless insanity of interconnectivity we all call the internet, I started researching our topic, of immigration today. And I found some clips from Thomas Sowell's interviews at the Hoover Institute, which kind of popped up. And here's some of the cuts from one of the interviews where he discusses the topic of illegal immigration. Y'all take a listen.
Because the situation, there are so many pluses and minuses. It's going to take some very serious thought to sort them all out. For example, the winning of World War II without having to land American troops on the beaches of Japan, where they undoubtedly would have been slaughtered by the tens of thousands, was made possible solely by immigrants who came over here and created the American atomic bomb. Mm-hmm. The American space program and the Russian space program are both due to the German rocket scientists. You can run down the whole list of things that have been created. The garment industry in the United States and many other countries created by Jews and so on. Americans don't have the education in many cases to stand up to that kind of rigorous work. Most of the people who receive PhDs in engineering in the United States today are not Americans. Well, I think the groups that have a full range of skills, they have businessmen, they have workers, they have the whole range. They can have their own little enclaves. And in fact, the Germans and the Jews at one time had that kind of system. You could live on the Lower East Side of New York and you have your own doctors, your own businessmen, your own stores, everything, speaking Yiddish every day without a word of English, and go on and live a lifetime that way. It has its pluses and minuses. But if you have a group that is mostly unskilled workers, mm-hmm. then they have to work for somebody else, and they have to be able to understand somebody else's language, and so it's crucial for them. The overseas Chinese are successful everywhere in the world. The Chinese are successful everywhere in the world except China. Mm-hmm. And you could also say of the Indians that by and large they are successful everywhere in the world except in India. There are so many restrictions on them. I remember an Indian businessman in California saying how he's visiting his son in Silicon Valley and he's trying to get him to come back to India. And the son won't go because here he can move ahead on his own merit. In India, they have more quotas and preferences than we do and have had them longer. And he knows that if he's not with the right group, why, then he's not going to go anywhere. And so he says, forget it. He'll stay here in Silicon Valley. So much of what was once Mexico is now the southwestern United States is due to the fact that all the Americans settled in Mexico as immigrants, pledged to become part of the Mexican scheme of life, and after a while decided they didn't want to do that. And therefore they took themselves and the land and joined it to the United States. So this can happen. You can have immigrants in such large numbers that they become a threat to the system themselves. Of course, the Roman Empire had that problem when the barbarians settled. We should say that we do have the right to decide. And if people who come here from country X do well and make America a better place, then let more people come here from country X. And if people who come from country Y simply come here and become a burden on the American taxpayers, then less people should come from country Y. One of the problems we have is that the welfare state makes it very expensive to let immigrants in. So you have a country like New Zealand, whose total population is less than that of New York City. And they have all kinds of barriers against immigrants. They've got 60 million sheep there and 3 million people, and vast amounts of empty land. But the point is, once you put your foot on New Zealand soil, you're entitled to all kinds of benefits at the expense of the taxpayers, and therefore the taxpayers don't want you. So it's not just a question of the number of people in the land, it's a question of what kind of system do you have. And one of Germany's problems, one of the reasons for the great hostility to immigration in Germany, is that they are a welfare state. If this was a place where you come in and it's up to you to support yourself, I suspect you'd have a lot less resistance to immigration. Most of the immigrants themselves want to speak English. The reason there's a controversy is that you have many activists, both from within the group and people in the larger society, who want to keep them foreigners. Every country has to protect its own borders. There was a time when virtually every country in the Western Hemisphere not only allowed but encouraged immigration on a massive scale because they had the land and they needed the resources and so on. It's not at all clear that if you were to throw the borders wide open, let anyone come who wants to, that this would still be the same country 50 years from now. And so, in a sense, you can't let everybody come to America, because if everybody came to America, it wouldn't be America anymore. So that's not an option that we have. The most we can do is try to weigh many very different kinds of considerations. I mean, the immigrants are coming here because of something they find here that they don't find in their own homeland. Obviously, if you allow this to become just like their homeland, there won't be any benefit to them, and it'll be a tremendous loss to the people who are already here. I can't believe that you couldn't stop this immigration from Mexico, for example. But if you had fences that went 5 feet into the ground and 10 feet above the ground and barbed wire on the top, I suspect we'd get just a few high-jumping athletes coming into the United States. A lot of the immigrants, of course, come in illegally, which means we have no control whatsoever over what kind of people come in, other than those who are willing to come in. What shocks me is that people who try to cross that border and are caught are turned loose scot-free to try 2 or 3 more times that week. Meanwhile, you're cracking down on businessmen who are trying to run a business, and you're trying to recruit them as law enforcement agents to enforce laws that the Immigration and Naturalization Service is not enforcing.
Okay, so all the people out there listening, after you heard the comments from Thomas so well, and if you want to hear more from him, by the way, he has a book called Migration and Cultures. It's a must read for those who are interested. But for all those out there listening, what do you feel about our current situation at the border? And do you think we should let all the outsiders or immigrants who want to be in America in? Send us a message. Our handles are in the description below, and let us know how you feel about this little small diatribe of conversation. This has been yours truly, T. Staples, in this week's edition of The Internet Never Lost. Hey, and it never loses. Catch you next time. Okay, so Freddie B, Dr. Buddy Lee, CeCe. Let me just give you a few words before we start our conversation. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Have you ever heard these words before? Anybody can answer this.
Yeah.
Freddie B, where you heard them at?
That's some president said that in his opening address. I forgot what it's called. It's some like famous address. Is that the Gettysburg Address? No.
Dr. Butler, you want to take a shot?
I've heard it, but I can't remember from what, because it was even also in a movie one time. But I can't remember.
Yeah, I have nothing for you on that one.
This is the new Colossus, and it can be found at the foot of the Statue of Liberty in New York. This is a part of the poem that was written on there. But you hear these words, and yes, you have heard presidents say these words before. They repeated these words because they always want to send a message of how our doors are welcoming to all. But as we all know in history, that just has not truly been the truth, right? That has not been the reality that we have lived in our past. And so people have decided at some point in time to what? Well, if we can't be accepted over there based on the terms of which is on their Statue of Liberty or in the Declaration of Independence, then we going to just come in anyway by any means necessary. Whether there's a wall, like Thomas Sowell said, and we got to jump over that bad boy, or if we can find an open spot on the border, we can just skip right through. I start the conversation here because I wonder, as America, what is our message today to people who are not from America who want to become citizens? I mean, are we the home of the brave, land of the free, truly? Or are we really like every other country who wants to protect whatever values we have? Freddie B.
Well, first off, I need to talk about the dude Thomas Sowell. What was his name?
Thomas Sowell.
Sowell, yeah. He sounds stopped up. That's the first thing I need to say. When he was talking, he sounded like he got, he need to blow his nose. He needs some Mucinex or something to break up the congestion in his nasal passages. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. Listening to him.
Well, he's an older gentleman. He's been around for a little while.
So when you get old, you get stopped up? I guess
he definitely sound like, he got that old rumble, like, that little rumble they get,
It sounded like he had just pressure in his upper nasal cavity area. But are we the land of the free, home of the brave? I mean, I think so. You know what I mean? I think that's, I would say that's outside of immigration. But then the passage you read that's on the bottom of the Statue of Liberty. I mean, I think at us as a country, that was a different time than where we are now. You know what I mean? I think it was a time where, because there was a time where, when nobody here, it was like, all right, we want the best from everywhere. Like, we want to take everybody good people and make a new country, because that's kind of what we were founded on. Now, that's what those people were trying to do. Now you got a different time. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when chattel slavery was going on in America. It was a different time. People were moving different than like they move now. You know what I mean? So I think that's outside of immigration.
Yeah. So, well, here's the thing. So, Freddie B, I'm gonna bring it back to Thomas Sowell's comments in the Internet Never Lost clip. He actually, as you listen to him, and what I did was I took a succession of his clips from that interview. The interview was about 20 minutes long. So I just literally took his answers to all the questions. But in his answers, one of the things that I noticed about Thomas Sowell is he played both sides of the gate. On one side, he talked about, similar to what you just said, getting engineers, right, and scientists to help us in different aspects of whether it was war or progression. But then on the other side of it, he's saying if we open it up to everybody, it would change the fundamental culture that we call America today. If we just let everybody in, and it could potentially go to wherever you're trying to get away from, it could turn into that because there's so many of those different people. So he kind of played both sides of the gate, which is why I read that passage, because I was kind of interested in what do we really think about this today as Americans? Like, do we want our borders open and available to all people, or should there be some kind of vetting process? And it sounds like you saying we definitely don't today. We can't really look at it like that. Am I correct in saying that?
I mean, I think nowadays, I mean, we don't need to get the best from everybody now, because we got. I mean, if we just really erased racism, you got so many black people that, if you had the best of the white and the best of the black people working harmoniously in this country, wouldn't nobody be able to touch us. But you got this suppression of a lot of black people and even other minorities to where you got just white people doing stuff in this. So it's like, oh, okay, let's have doors open. And then you got some other like political interest in immigration, because it all goes back to the money. That's why you got some people riding the fence on it or whatever like that.
Corletra or CeCe, did anything stick out to you in Thomas Sowell's dialogue? I was sitting here and I was doing a lot of thinking about, I guess, what he was saying. And I guess to touch on his point, I think he started with like, truth be told, and when he first started, I was trying to see where he was going with, what did he bring up? World War I or II?
Yeah, he brought up the when we ended the war with the bombs on Japanese soil. His point was, well, the people who made those bombs were prolific in Russian and American space programs, and they were Germans. So he talked about them, them being immigrants who came over to make those particular devices. They ended the war, right?
Right. I mean, I honestly, I agree with what Freddie B was saying.
And I'm going to back up a little bit. So as far as the question, are we the, home of the brave, land of the free? It's crazy because I think that some of it now, I think that's how we've always been on this premise, our country, that we're open to everyone, right? From any country, you can come over and you can create, and you've got all these opportunities to make money, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Well, depending on, and one thing that I have learned practicing immigration law, it depends on which administration is in office, if that's true or not. The more conservative the administration that is in office, because of course immigration laws are run by the executive board, executive branch, excuse me. It plays heavily on how open we are as a country. As of 2021, January 2021, of course, we got a new administration in. The borders themselves, and I'll get back to Thomas, but the borders themselves are flooded right now. Reason being is because they know that there is a president in office who is going to be more accommodating and welcoming, and it's going to be easier to get through the immigration process legally if you come through the borders legally than it was when Trump was in office. There's going to be a different director. There's already been one appointed for Homeland Security. And the thing about that is it was a lot of shadiness and illegal practices that were being taken by Homeland Security, immigration services, deportation services while that particular administration's in office. So I think that, our premises we're open, but it plays a lot into who's in control, who's running the country from an immigration standpoint. And since it's run by the executive branch, it just depends.
How much of that do we, the people, have? I mean, how much of our say-so goes into that? Or is it literally just an iron fist? Is it a dictatorship almost in that sense, right?
It literally, yes. Because like when Trump got elected, I'll never forget, I had people call me and was like, man, you about to make a lot of money. Ooh. You about to make a lot of money because, he's going to crack down and people are going to be willing to pay whatever to try to get in, whether it be legally or illegally. And yes, that kind of was the case because one of the reasons immigration practice did well. It did do well.
Drink so CeCe.
Mama was able to treat herself to a couple of things.
You know what I'm saying? I did a little something, But it was sad because at the same time, because people are paying me that are being put in deportation proceedings because they're doing raids, they knocking in doors, they doing a lot of stuff that they weren't supposed to do. They're supposed to have warrants. They didn't have warrants. They were just out there doing shit. Ooh, excuse me.
No. Speak your mind. Speak your mind. You ain't gonna hurt nobody. You ain't hurt nobody.
But, so they're paying me, thousands and thousands of dollars to try to get them out of deportation proceedings. And because it was being run like a dictatorship, there wasn't much I could do. I'd go to trial, for them. I went to trial. I was everywhere. I was in Arizona. I was in Louisiana, and they put these places like in the middle of nowhere, and places you don't want to be after dark. And, I'm sitting in trial for hours and hours and hours, and the judge already knows in their head what they're going to do, what they have to do. And we're going to deport him. We don't care how good of a case he has. Doesn't matter.
I got a question. I got a real quick question, just hopping really quick. So you practice law, you're in Tennessee, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how can you do,
is
immigration law just federal?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So it don't matter what state, you can go anywhere and you can hold it down. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But to answer, I just wanted to bring that up. That was just on me. Like, yes, to answer your point, it's like a dictatorship, and whoever's in office at that time, man. And right now, it's crazy since we've got a new administration. The applications that I'm able to push through that are getting accepted, that are being processed, in a timely fashion, and not just holding on to them or losing them. all the time. So
it's not as simplified as Mr. Sowell made it seem in his dialect. It is as us letting people in or not letting them in, or building a wall or not building a wall. It seems that it's a little bit more complicated of a process than what we've been. And that's part of it's interesting because back in 2016, Trump campaigned on this whole idea of building this wall, right? And all along, I wonder if attorneys knew. Well, it's not that simple, but okay. Was everybody sitting around going, whatever,
Yep.
And they knew that basically he didn't have to do that. He could essentially, like you said, use policy, use his voice, essentially his position to shut it down.
Yep. Yep. There were things, and truth be told, he shut down, man, quite, there was definitely, and it wasn't so much, well, I can't say he shut down, but people were scared, like literally scared during that administration to come over or to even, like I would have consultations and they were here illegally, and there were applications and things that we could fill out for them where they could stay and do things the legal route, right? But they were scared because they didn't want to be put on that radar, because of the raids and things that were taking place. It was insane.
Didn't Obama put in place some legislation? Was it DACA? Am I saying that right? Or
the Dreamers program.
The Dreamers. Yeah, right. The Dreamers.
Yeah.
Well, so what is that?
Yeah,
what is DACA and Dreamers? What is that?
So it's for, like, if you're a child and you are here, you've come, typically you probably have not come on your own free will. You're probably with your parent or whatever. You came over and you were illegal. But as long as the Dreamers program, you go to school, it protects you that you're in school, can go to college, and stay here, and try to make a life for yourself. Of course, Trump wanted to get rid of that. If you're here legally, then, hey, you got to go. I don't care. I don't care that you're in school. I don't care that you're in college. I don't care that this is the only country because a lot of these children came over at a young age. You got to go.
So that really protected just the young kids.
It was just for children. It was it was just for children.
And so that means you probably still were dealing with the adult issues in and out throughout the throughout that period of time. So
definitely. And Obama, he's deported more people than any other president in history.
Yeah, I read that somewhere. And why is that?
But the reason that people didn't really harp on it, and a lot of people didn't know, was because he did it the right way. He actually, he deported a lot of people, but he didn't treat them like prisoners, or like they had done committed a heinous crime. So that was the difference with his administration.
Now, in that clip we listened to, Thomas Sowell spoke about people getting deported just to turn around and come right back. Have you experienced a lot of that in your profession, like where maybe one of your clients got deported and then next they try to sneak back in or do something? Is that a true?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Happens all the time. Yes. I know people personally who've done that.
Buddy Lee is here illegally. He's here illegally. He needs to be deported. So he know.
He must know something. It happens all the time. He does it 3 days a week.
It does, though. It's the truth. What they started doing now, though, like, and depending on what country you're coming from, you'll sit there and that's if you sometimes if you get caught at the border, of course, they're just going to turn you around. But if you get in, and you're here and then they realize you're here illegally, they'll put you in deportation proceedings and hold you for like 30 days and then send you back to, your country. And then folk will sit up there and turn around and come back, they may have to wait 30 days before they can get back to their country to try again. But
that actually makes sense, because if there's no punishment, it's like, why not keep trying? So I mean, like with this whole immigration thing, it's like, shouldn't there be some type of punishment to deter people from like trying to get here illegally?
But isn't that like the fine line we have to walk, right, Freddie B? Like,
right.
It's kind of why I asked the question in the beginning. Like, when I read, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses." Like, I read that because I'm wondering, like, what are we saying to people, in our legislation, but then what we do in our actual, enforcement? It's like, well, I get confused. Like, are we open or not?
It depends on where you're coming from. It all depends on where you're coming from. Because if I was coming from England, I wouldn't have this problem. If I was coming from Canada, no problem.
Right. It depends on how much melanin you got in your skin.
Well, I ain't even got to. I wasn't even gonna go there until we got to the end because I was gonna bring some stuff up.
Okay.
But
my bad.
But I would like to know, why is that the England, like you said, Canadian, which I guess that's isn't that a territory of England, Canada? Yeah. So why do they get in scot free per se?
I mean, I would say that it's the view. It's like, you talking about a rich country, a first world country that's just like us. So one, they're white, and then two, you just figure like, okay, you coming from a nice situation to over here. So obviously you coming over here because you got something to give. You're not just running away from hell and you ain't got nothing to contribute. So it's like that. It's that view. It's that perception. Like people from Mexico and Central America, they running away from cartels and all types of crazy stuff. So it's just the perception is they got nothing to contribute.
But that's not completely true either, because I go to I didn't do it last year. I only went one time last year, but I normally go to Mexico twice a year. And
why? See?
But here's the thing. No.
But Lee, are you legal, man?
Yes, I'm legal. But here's the thing on that. Here's the thing on that. As far as there, they always talk about how bad things are. That's just what you're shown. But if you actually go there, you'll see that it's not anything like you see on TV. Just like there's poor places here that are real bad and look like, I mean, I've been to some places in Detroit that you were like, whoa, this reminds me, this is worse than Mexico in some areas. But
it's interesting that you say that.
I mean, Buddy Lee.
Trust me, I've seen it personally on both sides.
You say that, Dr. Bully, because one of the solutions to the immigration problem we have at the border that has been proposed, which was proposed by Sonia Nazario. I hope I said it right. That's Nazario. Sonia Nazario. She proposed that if we created policy which directly affected Mexican cities that have strongholds or high mortality rates or any kind of like theft and gang related activities, and we had policy that allow us to help those particular cities so that they could be policed better, so they could reduce their crime rates, these people would not have a need to come to America. So it's interesting you say that, because this is a policy that's actually being presented. What do you say to that, Bud Lee? Dr. Bud Lee, sorry, I got to put the doctor on
it don't matter. I mean, the thing on that is, it's the same like here in the U.S. I guess here and in Mexico, there's corruption on both sides. So either way it goes, yes, I believe that could work. It's just, like here, if it's not money involved, if somebody's not making money, a lot of people are going to just ignore it. And the same thing there. It's the same thing. It's all about money.
But I'm gonna have to push back a little bit on the hood part. I've been to Tulum, I've been to Cancun, I've been to Cozumel. Every one of them cities I went to, like the hood, and nigga, the hoods in those cities, like they not like crime ridden to where like you get your block knocked off, but the houses they living in, I ain't never seen nobody in America living in houses what they living in. I was in Cozumel, they live in cinder block houses with no windows. They got just openings in the.
I've seen people living on the side of a mountain and everything else.
That ain't, but people in America ain't by and large living like that.
You ever been to Skid Row in LA, in California?
That's homeless niggas. You just brought us some homeless niggas. Like,
no, but I mean
homeless. Yes, I've been.
But
there.
that's a whole community like that.
Tent city, yeah. This city's got tent city. Those are people who are homeless.
You got to remember, the people that are running from these countries live in these terrible places. It's not the folk with money in Mexico that are like, oh shit, I need to make my way to the United States. Right. They're not running to the for what? The people that are the ones that are in countries like Venezuela, Honduras, who live in areas that are absolutely terrible. Whose families are being beheaded. That stuff is real. I had a client, and it's a sad story, came illegally because they wouldn't let her in. Her family was, she had a sister here who was dying, needed a kidney transplant. They wouldn't let her in the legal route. She came illegally. She got caught. She came through, and it was human trafficking. They trafficked her in. Long story short, she got caught. She was begging them not to send back because they were like, if you send me back, they're going to think that I told how I got here. Sent her back. She was dead in 24 hours. So I'm like, they're coming from bad places. They're not just, I've just decided because it's okay.
So they're not making this up, right? This is real.
Right.
So CeCe, with what you just said, that made me think of like the asylum thing. Like what's like like people try to stay under asylum. Like what is asylum? What is that?
That's you are running because you are fear of persecution, torture, or death from the country where you are. Asylum is very hard to get. Very hard to get. They only approve like 5% of asylum cases. And a lot of people apply for asylum because they have terrible situations. I've got several asylum cases and I've told my clients because they don't have any other means to apply for legally, right? So that's why a lot of people come illegally because there's very few categories that people qualify for. Asylum is one of them if you can prove it, and you got to prove it. It's got to be bad. Like I've got a case right now, another one, and I'm trying to figure out how in the world. Anyways, it's crazy, but the family's from Venezuela, and cartel was after them because why? Because they were standing up for their rights in Venezuela. They were really heavy into politics. They wanted to make Venezuela more democratic, right? Of course, the leaders in Venezuela don't want that. So, of course, they're in cahoots with the cartel and the government. And everyone is for the most part, just not corrupt. And they, you stand up, they will try to have you killed. And this particular family was able to escape. They went first to Argentina, and then they made their way here. But it just, that's what asylum is. They are, but it's, like I said, it's hard. It's hard to get.
So with asylum, like you said, you got to prove that your life is in danger. Like what are some of the, like, I guess you say only 5% of the cases are approved. Mm-hmm. So like, are there any cases that you heard of being approved, and what do you, like, how do you prove that your life is in danger? What are you saying, like the threatening text messages you got from the cartel or what?
Pretty much. So it's funny you said that because one of the cases I have right now, I have text messages from the cartel with pictures.
Oh, snap.
Like,
oh, snap.
Literally. So I have high hopes that one's going to get approved. We've got a lot of evidence. And you also have to show that you went to your government or your police department and, made an effort to try to get them to help, and they wouldn't. So a police report showing that, or have these countries not even going to write up a police report,
Man,
but you had, and then what's crazy is though, and the sad part about it is a lot of clients, these particular clients, they had a little bit of money, right? So they were able to get these things. A lot of people don't. So they don't have that documentation to show those. And that's why I had a client, one of my cases in Jenna, Louisiana, went down there. This guy, they cracked his skull open. He about died. Have proof of it. Had to flee. He left his country, Venezuela again, went to Colombia, got stitched up, nursed back to health, and then came to the United States, applied for asylum, and he got turned down. Why? They were like, well, yeah, but we don't know if the people that bashed his head in were, if it was something that he did. I mean, it was ridiculous. However, what was crazy was I turned around, lost that case, and then like 2 weeks later, I turned around and made a health plea that he had asthma and couldn't be in the detention center, so they let him out. So he's here in Nashville now.
So you crack your head, you got to go to detention. Right. But if you got asthma, we get you up out of there.
Get you up out of there, man. This is insane.
It's just insane.
And it makes no sense. There's no rhyme or reason, I couldn't,
Like, I feel like that's something if you went to jail, an OG would tell you, like, hey, listen, I know you in here for a crack school, but forget all that. Start coughing and wheezing and shit. You be out here in 10 minutes. Like, that's something like somebody would just tell you on the low key to do.
And I've even heard of cases of people coming here, even though they're illegally, but something happened to them, like they got robbed and shot and stuff like that. And because of health reasons, they gave them, I don't want to call it asylum, but they gave them an opportunity to stay here.
What's the word amnesty? What does
it's
amnesty
called
mean?
It's a U visa.
Oh, okay.
It's a U visa. So
yeah, that's it. U visa.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That happens. I've got some of those cases right now.
I know somebody here who went through that.
Yep. And think about the U visas, they take like 3 to 4 years to process. But yeah, if you were a victim of a crime here in the United States, even if you came illegally, you can apply as long as you have to get a report from the police department showing that you helped participate. We call it sometimes the snitch visa, because basically what you're doing is telling, you got to tell and point out, or if who did it, or help provide evidence to the cops, then you can definitely apply for that. You're absolutely correct.
So I got another question about asylum. Like what are the stipulations? Like, so if you get granted asylum, like you're automatically good, or you got other stuff you got to do?
No. So if you're granted asylum, you're good to stay here. The thing about it is, if you're granted asylum, don't go back to the country that you were claiming in crime persecution, because they can revoke and take it away. Like I thought you said you were scared to go back there. Why are you going back?
Oh, so if you get asylum, all your family that's there, it's a dub on that. They got to either come see you in America, or you'll never see them again.
Pretty much. Why are you going to go back to a country that you scared you're going to be killed in?
Right. That don't make sense. Right. It defeats the purpose of asylum.
Country is a big place. I could have problems in New York, but I can go to L.A.
But no, it's like, if you got asylum, it kind of defeats the purpose, though. It's almost like if they give you a restraining order, but then you go back to the person you got the restraining order against. Like,
if you go in a WITSAC and all of a sudden you turn around, you trying to hide from the mafia, and then all of a sudden you want to step out in the public and tell everybody, "Oh, I'm Freddie B." And they're like, "Oh,
wait, time out. Did you just say you go to WITSAC? I don't even know what. I hope that's a dangerous place. Is that a dangerous place?
A sack? What you say? You going to the white sack? What'd you say, Bailey?
Pause, baby. Whoa.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
Federal protection.
I'm glad you explained, because I didn't know. I thought that was a place in America that you're not supposed to go.
Oh,
for 2
I'm sorry.
seconds.
I know CeCe knew what it meant, but my bad.
But yeah, so in Venezuela,
your name is Dr. Buddy Lee, and she is attorney Corletra. On his mug, like, I'm a regular average Joe citizen. I don't know what WITSAC is. I'm thinking he said some shit like,
yeah, if you go to watch movies and TV shows where they talk about that.
I ain't never heard them call it WITSAC. You said like it was another country.
I've never heard that either, Buddy Lee. But then again, Buddy Lee traffic humans here illegally, so there's that.
You would not be flexing your degrees.
Now you're trying to fix
the radio show.
Now you're trying to make it complicated when I'm ready to travel out the country again. Don't start putting out rumors.
Right.
But I am kind of curious everybody's opinion on something. I kind of want to talk. I have before Dr. Buddy Lee get into his personal, because apparently he got some questions. So I got a question for everybody, and then I want to give a little personal story. So my question for everybody is: should we allow every immigrant to become citizens? Everybody, I want to hear what everybody got to say on this.
No.
I mean, this country was founded on that. So I mean, there should be stipulations on it, but everybody should be given the opportunity.
Okay.
I say no, because you go anywhere in the world, America got some of the most lax immigration policies. Like you heard what old boy said, the New Zealand. Like, you can't just go to New Zealand and be no citizen. You can't go to China, Japan, any other country. You take your American ass to and you like, I want to be a citizen. It don't work like that. It's hard as hell to become a citizen of another country. But America has, like, America, I think, is like one of the easiest countries to become a citizen of.
Okay.
I don't. To answer your question, I mean, here's the thing: just because you're granted asylum doesn't make you a citizen. So if the person is here, and they've got to abide by all the laws of the United States, but there's a lot of rights they don't have, but they're here for forever. So it's like, if you're going to allow them to stay here for forever, then I think you should allow them to become citizens. Mm-hmm. However, to Freddie's point, once you are granted asylum, you can apply for what's called permanent residency green card. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. So you can do that after having asylum for a year. You can then do your green card application. That application takes about, a year or 2 years, maybe max. After that, once you've been had your green card, been a legal permanent resident for 5 years, you can apply for naturalization, aka citizenship. With citizenship, all you got, this is a test. Literally, it's a test. I've
seen a test.
There was a 2008 version, and then Trump tried to make everyone start taking he created a 2020 version, and was like, everybody that's been studying 2008, nope. Because they were trying to make it harder, for people to get.
What's on the test? Like say the Pledge of Allegiance and stuff?
Yep.
Yes. Yep. It's like, a whole bunch of American stuff.
Uh-huh. But then Biden came in and was like, you can either do 2008 or 2020.
He just revoked it.
He reversed it. So, but once you take the test and you pass, that's it.
Okay, so I had a person in my family who fell in love with a beautiful, when I say beautiful, German woman. Okay? Matter of fact, she had what I would call black features on a fully white woman. And this is, for real white. Blue eyes, blonde hair. But, she had some other black features. And I was like, man, your wife is thick. And so he ended up getting married to this girl. Every old woman and male in my family was like, she gonna trick his ass. Every single one of them. They said, she just trying to get that green card. She's trying to get over here and get naturalization or whatever. Now, I was young when he got married, so I really didn't know, like, that was even a thing. Like, okay, so somebody can, like, y'all could hook up overseas and he could bring her back and, like, oh, I'm engaged and now she can come over here and become a citizen. I was like, is that really a thing? 10 years to the day. 10 years to the day. She hit him up. It was 10-year anniversary out of the blue. It were all heart stars and horseshoes, clovers and blue moons until 10 years came. And she decided she wanted a divorce. He was blindsided. He had no idea why she wanted this divorce. She just wanted a divorce. That's it. She stopped calling. She moved out the house. It was crazy. Why? All the old people in my family was like, see, told you. Nigga, it's been 10 whole years. So is there a time frame by which someone could be married and become a citizen or naturalized or get a green card, CeCe?
So it depends on how they got it. Mm-hmm. In the legal world, it's never an absolute answer.
Gotcha.
It depends.
Mm-hmm.
That's
not like investing. It depends.
It's called a K1 visa, right?
The fiance visa. It's a K1 visa. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. I watch a lot of 90 Day Fiance, so I know a little bit.
But no, like, okay. If you are married to a citizen, and did you say she became a citizen as well?
Well, I don't know at what point she became a citizen, but it was this running thing in the family. But basically, it was her goal of marrying him was to become a citizen or become naturalized some kind of way, because she was he met her in Germany on a Germany trip he took, and they fell in love or whatever. And so he came back, and then he got her back on some kind of visa or something like maybe it was that K1. I'm not sure the legal terms, but he was able to get her back because he decided he wanted to marry her. He got engaged to her. Yep. And so when he did that, she was able to move over here. But for some reason, 10 years to the day, she got a divorce. And it was out the blue, and nobody knew why. She ain't explained nothing. And everybody kept going, I told you so. Like, it was the most I told you so's I ever heard in my life.
And truth be told, I honestly don't know if there's a time frame. It's funny you bring that story up. I had a client that had, he was here, came over, brought his wife, but the wife had restrictions on their legal permanent residency that they wanted lifted. And so they're here, right? I filed the application to get the restrictions lifted. This was last year. Man, we go to the interview. It's all them. We're so in love, blah, 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 blah. As soon as those restrictions got lifted, I mean, as in 3 months later, they're filing for divorce.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, so this was all just okay.
Ruse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'll say this, like in New York, I remember the first year I was here, I was out, and this one chick, she was like bartending, but she actually was illegal, but she was here from someplace in Europe. I can't remember, but she was here illegally, and she was just bartending, which, it's easy to get paid under the table. And then a lot of times the people won't even pay you, just like, okay, you get the tips, keep your tips. So she was here, and then she happened to knew this dude I met up here, and we was talking. She was like, yeah, she's trying to get married, and she got $25,000 for, if you want to get married, pay you $25,000, and we get married, and we don't even live in. I just come to your crib every now and again just to have my stuff there, but I actually like kind of live somewhere else. I live between two spots, and that was like the deal to get married, so she can get her citizenship, and then once she do that, then we out.
You said she comes to your crib every now and then? Like, so you gotta show the immigration people that y'all are a thing? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Because like if you do the K-1 visa, like the reason why they call it 90-day fiance is because the K-1 visa, you got 90 days to get married. After that 90 days, they gotta go or y'all get married. And then after that, they still not citizens, so they can't work. And so if you watch 90-Day Fiance, that's why a lot of that struggle be going on, because the person you bring over, they ain't got nothing to do. They can't work. They can't do nothing. So they just be sitting up in the house until like it's like a year or so until they actually get they paperwork. I can't remember if it's a green card or actual citizenship, but during that whole time, like you have like basically like a caseworker. Like if you adopt a child, just like a caseworker, somebody come to your house and like. They come in, you have meetings, they come to your house and check out your house to make sure like, okay, it's two people living here.
Well, I had a situation like that personally where a woman was telling me about marriage, but she was on a work visa. And she was telling me like, yeah, I could marry anybody. I mean, anybody. Like, I could marry you. Anybody. I could just marry them and then, it'll be good. So I said, oh, let's go to coffee and talk about that. She never went to coffee. Because I guess she thought I was the feds or something. I don't know. I was actually curious about it. Like, so you gonna throw some money my way and we're gonna do this marriage thing. She was cute too. I was like, I don't know, man. Let's go to coffee. Let's actually talk about it.
She want that work visa revoked.
Man, I guess this is crazy. I didn't, but it's funny because we take for granted. At least for me, I'm taking for granted when I was talking to her that I'm already an American. See, I was born here. My parents were born here. You know what I mean? Like. So I take for granted that I live and grew up in America, and I've been all around the country and lived in different places, and I've experienced America, and I never really thought about it from the perspective of somebody coming from the outside wanting to come in.
Yeah, once you travel internationally, then it'll hit for you. Once you get them stamps, you start moving around. You're like, oh, okay.
And when you look at the numbers, and CeCe, I'm pretty sure you know these numbers. I just pulled up a little demographics in the top 15 countries that send people to America. Of course, number one is Mexico. They send on average 150,000 people. And when they say send, they mean either these people come by on their own or by some type of trafficking. They include all the trafficking people. 150,000 people come through that border. From China, around 60,000 last 2019, but on average 60 to 70,000 people. India, 50,000 people. Dominican Republic, 50, and it goes on and on and on. And I noticed the only two black countries that sent in a lot of people was Jamaica and Nigeria.
Jamaica.
Oh, Nigeria on the list of every country in the world. Every first world country, Nigeria is on there.
Oh, okay. Everybody try to come from Nigeria. Yeah.
You can go to China, you find Nigerians. You go to London, Nigerians, Nigerians all over the country.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, I need to correct myself. There's one other black country. Well, at least this is mostly black. Haiti, right? Haiti's mostly black, right? Yeah. So Haiti's on the list as well. So those are three. So Nigeria, Haiti, and what was that other one? Oh, Jamaica. There we go.
Jamaica.
And Jamaica being the most. I think this is interesting. Like these numbers, we're talking about over 1 million people a year trying to cross that border or get some type of citizenship or whatever. You know, and this source is the source of this for all y'all out there, because I know y'all want me to cite my sources. This is the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Office of Immigration Statistics, FYI.
And a lot of countries give scholarships to students to go to school here, and
so that's like a college visa then.
Right. And then once it's done, they have to go back home. And usually that for their scholarship, they have to work in the industry that they send them to school for. Usually it's engineering or medical.
Well, how do you guys feel about that statistic that Thomas Sowell brought up in that clip I played? That he says that there's more doctors and PhDs that graduate our schools are immigrants than natural citizens.
That was 100% true.
I was like, that blew my mind.
Because our country doesn't value education like other countries. I have a friend who teaches in China, and even though she's here now, she was teaching in China prior to COVID, but she came back before. And over there, kids go to school 6 days a week, and they're in school way longer than we are here. The kids that's how they're groomed to get a good education so you can do better for yourself. So where here it's like, oh, well, you can be a rapper, or you can, I don't know, you can dig a ditch, or I don't care.
Dig a ditch. So wait a minute. So should we be really fighting against people trying to get in our country? If really it seems like there's more of them coming over here to do better and be better. It seems like it would make us better as a country.
It should.
I mean, going back to what you were saying, I think over here, we don't have to focus on a lot of these things because America leads the culture of the world. So when it comes to music, sports, and entertainment, basically, everything comes from America. Like movies, your top movies. We ship movies all around the world. Like China, all the movies that are big in China, like they just big in China because China got over 1 billion people. You can be big time in China and live nice. You know what I mean? But China ain't shipped. The movies that are big in China ain't shipped to Europe, all over the country. And when I went to Africa, I was in South Africa, like people, like I was able to, get love in the city because it was, it was a couple people. I wasn't just overran by people, but a couple people saw the reality show that I was on. The reality show I was on, they shown it in Ireland, in Nigeria, in Congo, in South Africa. You know what I mean? So, you think about culture. So when you grow up here, you're already thinking in your mind like, okay, some people want to be a doctor, but I want to act. I want to play basketball. I want to play a sport. I want to be, like you said, a rapper, a singer, or something like that. You know what I mean? We have all these options. A lot of these other countries, like Bangladesh and India, like you don't have all these options because it's like go be a doctor because we know, parents know, and everybody know medical ain't gonna. You a doctor, you got a job forever. Somebody need to get worked on.
That's good. So, there was a statistic that came out of Yale University that says that there are currently 22 million illegal immigrants that are residing in America today. If all of these people were given citizenship, could that change like the landscape of voting or
hell yeah,
or political
yeah?
I mean, so
black people be obsolete.
Actually, even with the census, a lot of people don't even fill out the census because felons feel that, oh, if I fill out this report, they might come and get me, or they might try to do something. It's the same thing with if the citizens, if the people living here who are illegal, were able to fill out those census report, and also individuals who are not afraid to fill it out, it would shift.
Now, CeCe, correct me if I'm wrong, but anybody can fill the census out because they just come to your door and they just say who's in this household. Am I correct?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just like I got a lot of clients like that are illegal and they're in family court,
Yeah.
for, they're not citizens, but they still have children that, are here and have to deal with those baby mama issues.
This is interesting you brought this up because I used to watch this show called Jane the Virgin. I don't know if y'all remember this show. I used to think this was a great telenovela show it's an Americanized version of a telenovela. But in the show, the grandmother who does not speak English.
Americanized version of what?
I think it's called a telenovela, like like a drama, a Spanish or a Mexican soap opera.
Telenovela?
Telenovela. There you go.
I didn't want to correct him, but yeah.
No, you can correct me. It's fine. It's a word. It's a word. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no biggie. But telenovela. But it's an Americanized version of one, right? And in the show, the grandmother is actually afraid to go to family court. So, CeCe, can she be deported if she is in court for whatever reason she's in court?
So they are not supposed to report people that they know are illegal from like the courts, judges. Nobody's supposed to call immigration services and be like, hey, such and such is here. Now, does it happen? Yes. That's why she's scared to go, because it doesn't happen as much. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. And don't be in some small rinky-dink county in the middle of nowhere. They definitely calling.
Yeah, that's interesting. You said it because they spent a whole episode on that. And I was like, why are we spending a whole episode? Why don't grandma just go to court? What is she doing?
You don't want to I got a civil case against some people. They in Indiana and they're having to drive down here. It took me forever to get them served. They're here illegally. I'm like, my client just want their money. Like, they're not interested. They could care less if you stay or not, But they didn't want to come to court because they didn't want to get deported. Mm-hmm. So
I'm still tripping out the fact Thomas watched telenovelas. Like, them things are the most extra soap operas people be.
It's an Americanized version. But you know me, I'm into
Americanized. Okay.
Yeah, I'm into entertainment, period. Like, I like to see whatever is out, and I just stay up to date on a little bit of everything. I'm not a Games of Thrones kind of like junkie or nothing like that, but I do like to dibble and dabble in all the genres of media because it keeps me informed of what's going on.
All right. When I was in Bogota, Colombia, that one came on TV, like the true one. I was like, good Lord, I got sensory overload watching.
Oh, yeah.
This. People just yelling and up and down with their voice. I was like, oh my God, it's too much.
And anytime they have a passionate scene, I mean, everything's over the top.
Oh, they have a passionate scene every other minute. It's like, right. Always tongue kissing and holding each other. I'm like, y'all tongue kiss too much.
I was wondering, like, do they take tests for this? Because, man, their tongues be in everybody's throat every 5
Everybody got
minutes.
mono.
Right.
COVID shutting all this down.
Oh,
y'all
man.
can't kiss this much in COVID. This shut it down.
Real talk. Along with that lines, and then Dr. Buddy Lee, I want to open the floor up to you because I know you said you had some questions before we got on.
Oh yeah, we was in pre-production meeting. Buddy Lee, I got questions.
He kept saying he got questions. Okay, so before I open up, I do want to open up one more topic, and I kind of use that I love how things flow from Jane the Virgin to here. Because I do want to talk about culture. With where we are in America, do we feel like immigration, if we started to loosen up on our immigration, on our borders, and start allowing more people to become naturalized or citizens or get green cards or get visas or, do we feel like it's going to have a detrimental impact on our culture in America?
It's going to have an impact. Black culture has an impact on Americans right now. So you bring in other cultures, but this country was based off of immigrants. So yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say detrimental. I mean, but it's, because detrimental.
I don't think, not detrimental. I'm sorry. I didn't, and I don't think it's going to be
I'm speaking to what, to the question. Thomas's question. I mean, I wouldn't say detrimental. I mean, it'll change. It'll definitely change the culture. No question. I mean, ain't no telling what we'll get. We had tacos and collard green, coloring tacos now, something like that. I don't know.
Hey, we got a place here called Waffle Taco.
Yeah, stuff will definitely start meshing and
well, they have you have the Latin fusion. That's the new genre of music.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be something probably similar to. Especially if you go to Cape Town, they got like the whites, the blacks, and they got the colors. They call them colors down there, and it's so funny. being down there and hearing that, I'm like, oh God. And then it was like I was down there, somebody looked at me like, yeah, you would be colored if you lived here. And I was like, let's have a talk, guys. Let's sit down and talk about this.
I don't want to be colored, right?
Cause so in America, that is not something you call people. They're like, really? I was like, yes. Like y'all call each other colored. Cause I was at a house of this guy who did tours, and he was in the colored hood. So where he lived is the hood where the colors live, and then his guy lived up the street, and he lived in the slums, like the slums,
Mm-hmm.
like the slums,
Like Slumdog Millionaire slums. Oh, lower than that.
like more than that, like the slums where you getting your head.
Wait a minute, hold on. Is
knocked
that you?
off.
Is that you with the police? Cause are you in the slum?
Yeah, I think they coming to get me, man. They stay coming to get me. I don't know what's going on, man. These niggas need to leave me alone, man. I'm scared. But his guy lived up the street, and he lived in colored slums, and so they used to
That's
that
like a double
terminology.
negative.
Yeah, like and they used to that terminology. But we was sitting, it was me, my brother, and then 3 of the guys was in the back of the house talking. They was smoking weed, and it was funny. The weed they was smoking was horrible. I'm like, but they thought it was some good weed. I was like, this is some horrible weed y'all smoking. I don't even smoke, and I know this horrible. But we were talking about this whole deal, and I was asking them like the colors, like, so why aren't y'all black or white? Like, what is that? And then he was telling me, because South Africa is on the tip of Africa, so over time you had all these people sailing around Africa from Europe, from India, and South Asia. And South Africa is like a median place where people will stop. So the Cape of Good Hope, that's why it's Cape of Good Hope, because it's like, it's all these mixtures. So if you go to Durban, South Africa, there's a big Indian population. So all these people mixed. You had the Zulus, you had the Dutch, you had the English, you had the Indians, you had the Indonesians and the Chinese, and all these people mixed. The Arabians, Middle Easterns, all these people mixed into and created this group of people that's there now. And it's even when I went to Aruba, you got those same type of people that mixed. And Aruba got a weird culture there. It's like, it's really weird. It's like they don't really have their own culture. They got like, you can see like remnants of Dutch, remnants of English, remnants of African.
Are you saying that we may be diluted then into having it go from black to white to colors here in America?
I think you just let everybody in. Yeah, I mean, I think some new things will be created, but I think overall, yeah, I think the potency of the cultures that exist now would be, it'll be diluted a little bit, quote unquote, and you'll kind of see remnants of stuff like us, where we at. Like, say for instance that happened in 100 years, we still was alive. We would look at the landscape and be like, man, I remember, but it would be detrimental to us. But the people there would be like, oh, this is what's up.
Right. Dr. Billy, you want to say anything on the dilution of our culture?
How you traffic people in? How you trying to create this new world?
Right.
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah,
your name Dr. Billy. You ain't doing no Tuskegee experiments on people, are you?
Here you go with that again. No, I mean, it's kind of funny that you're saying you're talking about how South Africa looks. I remember even South Park made a what people look like of the future, and there was no light, dark, nothing. Everybody was just this brown complexion and the same hair, and everybody looked the same because so many cultures had mixed so many times that everybody just looked this particular way. And I mean, I don't know if it would be detrimental. I believe it would break down a lot of barriers. And I mean,
it'd be a good thing then. This would be a good thing.
I believe it would be a good thing because it's just like there's a lot of kids who, they'll call them mixed or whatever else. And so the kids come out with looking like both and like both parents and, but
that don't happen already.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, but it's like certain cultures won't accept certain kids, and then other cultures won't accept the other kids because they don't look a certain way. But the kids are like, "But we're both, so why can't we?"
I mean,
both?
To what you said about South Park, I think they got that from National Geographic. Did a story about what the regular person gonna look like in. What the majority of people in America gonna look like in 2050, 2060.
Yep.
And it was this like kind of like light mocha skin girl with like kind of sandy blondish black hair with like gray eyes. She was fine in the mug. I was like, dang, I want to be young in 2060.
They made him look
like
Egyptian.
Reincarnated and come back.
But that sounds like Amar La Negra. Is that how you pronounce her name? Amar La Negra. Have y'all seen her before?
Amar La Negra. This chick was way lighter than her.
Oh, she was lighter than her. Okay.
Cause I looked at her,
she's like light mocha.
She's Afro
Cuban.
Cuban.
She's Afro Latina.
Mm-hmm. I don't care what she is. She's all good. Shoot, she's 100.
She's all good.
I'm like, dang, she got black girl features. She got white girl features. She got nappy hair with an afro. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, what the hell? Where'd she come from? What? I try to figure out who she came out of. What? That mama need to make another baby.
Because how you get a true mixture of that is you see a Filipino. They're Asian descent with Spanish influence, and a lot of them have African features.
Are you talking about the lady just won the Oscar, Dr. Buddy?
No,
I seen the lady.
I'm talking about Filipinos just in general.
Filipino.
What Filipinos you seen with African influence?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like the one that won the Oscar did not look like that.
Features.
Well, that features too. What African features Filipinos have? I want to hear it, Dr. Buddy. Go ahead.
What were you saying about the German lady in your family, Thomas?
Oh, she's not in the family no more. She out.
Well, the ex-lady, she came out with her features.
Oh, she has some black features. She had buns, son.
Okay.
Buns, she had ass. What he saying?
She had buns, son.
Nose included. I mean,
I couldn't even look at her nose. I forgot what her nose looked like. I swear. I tried. I was trying to talk to her one time. I was looking right at her butt. I was talking right to her butt. I thought, I think she's going to send me to jail if I keep talking to her. Let me stop talking to her.
Y'all only seeing a few select.
I ain't want to go to jail, so I stopped talking to her. That's all I'm saying.
So what I'm saying is, Buddy, tell me about these African features that the Filipinos have.
You talking about like cheeks, high cheeks or something? What you talking about?
No, let Buddy Lee. I want to hear what Buddy Lee got to say.
Because I guess a lot of you all haven't been there, so that's number one. But number two, if you
attack, go ahead.
But if you meet a lot of them and they introduce you to other people, you'll find some that look just like have. Like it can be our complexion, lighter or darker, either way. A lot of them have the in certain parts of Africa have the larger nose, and as Thomas and Freddie B say, they got buns.
So we talking about Filipinos. That means people from the Philippines.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And so you want to stay with that story of it. You talking about the people over there look like the person you just described.
We got an attorney online, buddy. You can't do it to her
quite
this
a few.
time. She's remembered what you said. I promise you.
She should.
I don't, Buddy Lee, you sound a little questionable. I don't know what part of Philippines. It sounds like you went to Atlanta, the Philippines.
Actually,
the city of Atlanta.
Here's the funny thing: there are some Filipinos who live in Atlanta as well.
He went to the Filipino side of Atlanta.
There are some Filipinos who live in Atlanta.
He landed in Manila and then drove up to Atlanta in the Philippines or something. That's what that sounds like. What part of the Philippines you was in? They got big noses. They dark with ass.
But you ain't landed at Hartsfield Jackson. You landed you landed at Loganville Airport in Atlanta, boy.
All right. So what are these questions you got for our esteemed co-host?
Yeah.
So
CeCe. So.
Yes.
Dr. Buddy Lee, when we first started talking about immigration behind the scenes, he really talked about the relationships he has, and first of all, him also being part Hispanic. Am I right, Dr. Buddy Lee?
Yeah.
And so he had some questions that he said, I got to ask us some questions. So we're going to give him the floor. So right now, it's time for Dr. Buddy Lee.
Here you go. So, okay. When you were talking about the K-1, the visa for individuals. So during COVID, a lot of people were denied getting their visas just because of COVID, and they, but they were rejecting them because they were saying that they couldn't. And this is, I know like 3 people who've said this, that they couldn't get the visa because of COVID. And they said that, well, you haven't seen each other in this period of time, but the countries have shut down. So, they went home to go visit family and then were coming back and couldn't. And so since they've been gone for over a period of time, they've been rejected. And so, I mean, what is the country doing to try to alleviate that in the future?
Right. And truth be told, I did not know that they were being rejected, and being told because, there's a length of time that you're supposed to be, together. But I didn't realize, I would have thought that, and I truth be told, I don't know, because I would have thought that because it was a worldwide pandemic and there were things that people couldn't help, that there would have been an exception made. So I'm not sure what procedures they are putting in place. A lot of countries are opening back up now. So, things will go back to how they were. But, every country is different on their time frame as to when they're going to open up. So as far as the United States, I'm not sure what, if anything, that they're doing to correct that, other than, I've had some applications. I haven't had any K1s. I haven't had a K1 denied during COVID because I didn't have any. So I don't know if they would have told me, hey, you got to reapply for them or what. But that's messed up because that's not their fault. And I think that an exception should have been made for that.
Because I know one person in particular told me that they told whoever the immigration told them that they need to probably travel to a country and meet up there and get married and then work on. I was like, wow, that was deep.
Wait, so I got a question. This made me think about something. So, Attorney Esquire CeCe. So what is the easiest way to become a citizen in America? Is it K-1 visa? Is it like asylum? Or is it protection?
Well, so you got the fiance visa, or the easiest method is if you marry marrying U.S. citizen. It's the easiest way. Second easiest is if you have, and I've got a couple of these cases right now, you've been here illegally with your child that was born here. You weren't born here, but the child was. Child is 21. Child then turns and applies for
sponsorship.
Parents. Yep. That's family visas like that are easy to get, especially if you're already a U.S. citizen. If the family member who's applying for you is a U.S. citizen, because you don't have to wait on a visa, right, to become a legal permanent resident. Unlike if you are a legal permanent resident applying for a family member, you can do that, but you got to wait on a visa, and that can be years and years and years and years, 9, 10 years you waiting on a visa. But if a U.S. citizen applies for your visa, it's all automatically available.
So if you come over here legally, you have a baby here. So if you're born on the soil, you're automatically a citizen.
Right.
So once you become 21, then you can apply and bring your parents over here scot-free.
Yep.
So when that happens, isn't it like co-signing for a car? Isn't it like you're responsible for them?
Did you call that sponsorship?
So there's a sponsorship, part of the application where you have to show that they are not going to become dependent on the state. So they want your tax returns.
There we go.
And you have to be above the poverty guidelines. If you are above the poverty guidelines, you good. So let's say there's a situation. No.
Okay.
No, you do have to get a medical exam done, but it's not a drug test, but you have to get a medical exam done.
And Dr. Butler didn't try to do those exams. Y'all better watch
no,
out.
because I know people who get their green card have to get a drug test sometimes, so that's why.
But Dr. Butler so illegal, boy. They got your drug test,
I mean, you got to realize I know people and I got family. I mean,
we know you know people. We don't figure that out, Dr. Butler. We know you know people. We know that.
We know you know people. But like in instances where, let's say the sponsors are U.S. citizen, like they're 21, they've probably been depending on their parents. I always attach the parents' income taxes to show that, hey, they're not going to be, dependent on the state. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say that because it kind of, they say sometimes immigrants seem to be more hardworking, or they will be willing to do the jobs that regular Americans don't want to do. But it makes sense if there's incentive for them to be above that poverty line, to show that they can be above that poverty line, for them to work their butts off. Not to say that that's what they're doing, but it seems like there's an incentive almost there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you've got to show. I had a client, and this lady was trying so hard to get. She was from Africa, not Nigeria. Where was she from?
Ghana, Ivory Coast,
Kenya.
Dang, I can't remember, y'all. This has been several years
Mali,
ago.
Senegal, the Gambia.
It was
Namibia.
definitely Mali. May have been it. That sounds familiar. Mm-hmm. I remember there being an ALI at the end of the country.
No, it got to be Mali then.
But she was trying to get her husband over here. She was here, and she just couldn't show she made enough, man. And her application kept getting rejected. And I felt so bad for her. She had done everything she knew she could, but she couldn't show that she could sponsor him. So
she got married in Mali to him?
Yeah. And then she came over. And I'm trying to remember how. I can't remember how she got her. It may have been through a family member. Yeah, I think it was through a family member. Anyway, she got her legal permanent residency and then wanted to try to bring him. And man, whew, it didn't happen.
So question, is there a limit on how many people you can sponsor?
Nope.
One person?
Oh, so
so one person
everybody.
can just keep sponsoring the whole
Man,
village
I got a
they
case right now. A son is a citizen. He's got 7 brothers and sisters that he's sponsoring right now.
Amen.
As long as you got the money
Yep.
to be able to provide for them. And then usually, what do you see? Most people, they get one house, and everybody lives in that one house.
Yep.
And it's usually
Dr. Lee know this from
pretty
experience.
decent sized house, so everybody has their own room.
Yep.
There's an apartment complex off of Old Hickory, on towards the Brentwood side.
Nashville.
In Nashville, yeah. It was a Hispanic family, and I didn't know if this is what they did, but literally, like Dr. Billy was saying, is they started off in one apartment room. There's about 7 of them, and then they end up getting 2 rooms, and then next thing you know, they all come over. They would buy a 20-pound bag of rice, and I don't know how many meals you could make with that rice, but I know you could feed a lot of people with 20 pounds of rice. And eventually, they end up buying a complex, and so it went from an older white family that owns it to a Hispanic family that owns it. And literally the family, they were bringing people over little bit by little bit until they pulled up enough money to start purchasing those buildings. And they ended up buying the whole.
Them niggas made a new city called Mexico Junior. Ain't that something?
Well, you know what's funny is it's mostly
amazing.
black people that live in them apartment units now. But I'm talking about in the time span of me being in Nashville, 13 years of me being in Nashville, they did this. So you can imagine anybody who was natural Americans could have done the same thing.
Right.
But they took that, I don't know if you call it ingenuity, they took that wherewithal to, okay, we're going to live in this. We're going to live real tight and close until we can move to the next thing. And then we'll slowly, one unit by another, we'll rent at first, but then we'll start to purchase, And I thought that was genius.
And that's the thing. Like, you bring up a great point because, like, I saw my clients, I'm like, dang, but they know how to, because a lot of the countries they come from, they was living on top of each other in small, spaces. Mm-hmm. So this is nothing, so they're fine with doing that. Americans, we can be spoiled at times.
No, get out of my room. Also, don't live with me. You out of here.
Right, and then those people that's coming, they ain't got nobody to impress. They don't know nobody over here, and they like, this is better. They think they good. Like, nigga, we living nice, and then they don't know no better. They don't know, like, nigga, you living on top of each other and this. And they, like I said, they ain't trying to impress nobody. And then they start making some money, start moving around. They're like, oh, yo, so we can have our own bed. I ain't got to sleep with my other 5 brothers. Mm-hmm. Oh, snap. Didn't know that. And then now they booming and bunking out here.
Yep. Yeah. I can imagine they probably all have nice houses at this point in time. But,
right. So, basically, what else about the people you traffic over to the country? You got some other questions about that?
You got to stop, man. You got to stop because, you trying to put me on a radar that I'm not trying to be on.
We got the attorney right here. You can call her. We got the plug right. You can call CeCe. She'll give you a good rate, right? CeCe? Well, she probably charge you because you're a doctor, so never mind. My bad.
Oh, snap.
No, you know what I'll do?
That's
I'll
full
send
rate for your doctor.
Look, I'll send everybody directly to her, and that they got to deal directly with her.
Are you gonna send all your clients to CeCe?
Nah, I don't have clients.
All your patients. You
Ain't got clients. I
don't have clients.
You know they call them patients. You got patients. Doctors.
Wink, wink. You don't
They're
have clients.
family and
wink,
friends.
Wink. Oh, that's what you call them, family and friends. Got you. That's how you make them run the drugs. But okay, it's cool. Whatever you got to do.
When I own my business in Nashville, I used to have a family and friends
to me.
discount. So I understand why he called them that. That makes sense.
Whatever you got to do, Bailey. But no,
I wasn't the one talking about 20 pounds of rice. Wink, wink. Mm-hmm.
Wait, what's the wink on that? 20 pounds of rice?
He said 20 pounds of rice so they can eat.
That's what you calling it.
Eat.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway.
Oh, he's talking about something else. I don't know about that, but I don't do no booger sugar now. I don't do none of that booger sugar.
Oh, man.
I know she thinks we crazy over here.
She like, what is happening?
No, she thinking like, got 2 more cases. That's it. Got to get paid.
Hey, you're right.
Do what you want. Just know, hey, the retainer is the retainer.
Right. It is what it is.
So I know you talked a little bit about what Trump had put in place and what Obama had put in place, and now
you was about to call him Biden, weren't you? Yeah.
So what's new that Biden is doing that's good and bad that previous administrations like either fight against he's fighting against or trying to make better.
Right. So and I'll bring up one that's really prevalent right now, right now, because when he got elected, you know how the borders got just swamped. And that was because one of the promises that he made was that he was going to make the processing times, if you come through legally, a lot faster. And that got a lot of people's attention. Because when Trump was in office, they were just dragging. They were things that were taking 6 months were taking 12 to 18 months to process. So that piqued a lot of people's interest. So I know that just generally the improvement of processing times, the improvement of these detention centers, these are people who have not committed crimes and they were being treated like they were in prison. The conditions in a lot of them were horrible. And these things were erected. A lot of them, it wasn't like it was they built them, to look like a prison. And I understand you don't want people escaping because they're there legally, but you could still make adequate accommodations. So that was something else. He also has been cracking down on, doing reviews of these detention centers, like the what do you call them? You've got the sub offices for
like the camps, something like that.
Yeah, but I can't think of the name of it. But he's been doing department reviews for the different centers that were not taking place. And of course, no surprise, there was a lot of corruption that's been found out. I mean, it was always there and people were saying it, but no one was doing anything. He's taking action with that, holding people accountable. So those are just a few that off the top of my head. The actual, I'm sure there's some things that he's doing that are not in favor of immigrants, but at this very moment, I can't think of them. But I know those were things that he was doing immediately. And then, of course, like I said, there was the reversing of what test you had to take. That was an immediate change that he made.
So, because you're a general practitioner, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you do immigration, you do other stuff. Where would you place immigration, dealing with all these cases, in the pantheon of different cases that you do? Because I know you do child support cases, you do divorce,
yeah,
court,
so
all that type of stuff.
Oh snap! Does she do prenups?
Yeah, I do family law. Yes. I do immigration at a percentage wise. I'd say about 25%. It used to be probably closer to 30. 25% of my cases are immigration. 35% probate is taken off, is probate.
What's probate?
That's when
Wills
you
and
get family
estates.
money. Family money.
Wills, estates, conservatorships. Yeah, things of that nature.
Or when people don't put things in writing, they need you to come in and help sort things out. After
Yeah,
death.
when there's no will, and then someone dies, and then there's always a fight. There's not always, but a lot of times, families, it's amazing how quick. Don't let it be a lot of money involved. How quick
Or a house.
things get ugly.
The house they all got split up.
So with the immigration, like what like when you do these cases, like where would you place it as far as the difficulty in working through them? Like are they normally like easy or are they getting hard?
So
like compared to probate,
they are difficult. Immigration law is not easy, and the reason being, in the last 4 years, it was very difficult because, like I said, it's run by the executive branch, and policies and procedures were constantly changing, and where they were supposed to send out notice in a reasonable amount of time, they weren't, and so I would do something, and then it'd get kicked back. And they would say, oh, that policy changed on such and such date. Where was the notice? So, now you making me look bad, but I was constantly having to research and continuously learning because things were constantly changing. I think that may slow down with this administration and not so many changes or things reverted back to how they were. Because having to, like, for example, it used to be if you were applying for asylum, you could apply for a work permit after being here for 180 days while you were waiting on your application to process. Well, that changed. Trump administration came in and said it had to be a year. You had to wait a year before you could get a work permit to work legally, So
Ain't that some
then
BS? All them workers he done had helping build no buildings. Come on now.
Right.
Come on now.
So
and then what's crazy on that with the work? I mean, wouldn't there be taxes taken out of their income, and that would actually help the economy?
Yeah. Because they got to pay taxes. Yeah.
But if you're making people have to, if they are working, they have to work under the table, get paid under the table. Now you're losing out on tax dollars.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, I got a stupid question for you. Stupid question, and then I'm gonna let Dr. Budley get the last question. But I got a stupid question. So sometimes, like I told you, as you heard early episode, I watch all kind of entertainment and media stuff. I just try to keep myself up to date. And I watched this interview with a pimp named Sugar Free.
I thought you were about to say pimp named Slickback.
Right.
I wanted the same interview I saw.
And pimp, it might have been. And so in the interview, he talked about how he's no longer pimping. Yep, he talked about how most pimps are no longer pimping. And the reason he said they no longer pimping is because the government wouldn't change
human trafficking.
The charge from solicitation to now they putting this thing called trafficking on you. Yep. Now, I understand trafficking as it to mean like,
but Lee told me something. Yep.
I'm thinking about trafficking as when they put the people in the back of the truck and they trying to like bring them across the border and they gonna sell to people. That's what but he said it that they encapsulated not just that type of offense, but actually prostitution into trafficking. Now, is that true or is that like because he said that ended pimping basically?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they put the heavy on pimps now. You can't even. So there is no longer solicitation. It's not trafficking. It's all encapsulated now.
Well, there's all kind of laws in California about that right now.
Yeah. And with that, the reason why I really killed pimping because a lot of people who started selling dope, and in the 80s they dropped the hammer. The war on drugs, all that type of stuff. They were dropping the hammer on people. A lot of people who were selling dope, they got out the dope game and got into the pimping game because it's like I can make pretty much the same money, but if I get hit with something. Solicitation ain't that hard. I'm right back, like cook crack, right back selling the good woo woo. Then once they changed it to trafficking, then it was like, oh well, shoot, ain't no point in pimping because I'm gonna get hit with the same charges. I might as well go back to the dope game. So they went back to the dope game.
So in our immigration conversation, when they started talking about human trafficking, it actually had some.
would you consider that a positive effect then? I would consider that a positive effect. I mean, I wasn't no pimp, so I wasn't hurt by it, but I'm thinking that may be a good thing. Or did that leave these women now unprotected because now they got to go out and prostitute without the covering of?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Go. Yeah, that's what happened. Now you got these girls like, pimp's gone, and now they just on their own, and then that's how you end up hearing about the girls coming up missing and
right. That's what I was gonna say. Now that leaves them exposed.
Yeah, I mean, because we all know if she for the streets and she gonna go, she gonna go.
And if you notice, just recently, CeCe in New York, they just let over 5,000 plus warrants. They just I don't know if it's called annulled them or got rid of them for these women who they looking for prostitution because they decided it was too expensive to be going after these people. So they're gonna just let that go. They're gonna stop looking for them women.
Wow.
Over 5,000 warrants dropped. Yeah. That happened in New York.
Here in New York?
Yeah, in New York.
Yeah, I just read that.
So when I saw that, I thought to myself, wow, this is interesting how that ties into our whole conversation. And it all came from shifting that law from solicitation and adding the solicitation offenses underneath the human trafficking. So I put that together and I was like, man, is this crazy or what? It sounds like it's a good thing, but is it really a bad thing? I don't know.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. You know what I'm saying? Because as far as when you look at it from now, the women, like you all were saying, it just kind of leaves them. It's more dangerous.
Yeah.
For the women, it's definitely more dangerous. I don't know how it'd be good for them. Because that was something else. Like I've got 2 young girls that came over by themselves and they were victims of human trafficking. The thing was because here's the thing, they you're in this terrible place and you're being told, hey, I can get you to America. We'll sneak you over there, get in this truck or whatever. And there's nothing but girls in there. But on the way there, you're going to have to do X, Y, and Z. Right. Before we take you. So, and we're not talking
about A, B, C, and the D. Okay. You feel me?
So, it's not a good thing.
So, Dr. Butler, you got anything you want to add to this subject? I feel like you might got some expert opinion to add to this.
No, I don't have an expert opinion on this.
You selfish.
I'm actually learning and understanding because
you learn how to better maneuver and move in what you do.
I mean, I got to make sure when I get employed by you, I got to make sure that I'm able to come up to your standards. So I got to understand all this stuff.
Employed by me, so I'm the pimp. You the prostitute? That what you
the kingpin.
And you the prostitute? I'm pimping you.
No,
what you saying?
No, I'm coming to work,
buddy. Lee,
I'm just in management.
You
that's
gotta
all.
Think more about yourself, brother.
I'm in management.
Oh, you in managing? So you managing? So buddy Lee.
I say I get it. You the lock and he the key. I got you. Got him.
Oh my God.
Okay, so listen, we're gonna wrap it up here. Dr. Butler, you got any questions you want to ask CeCe before we close today?
Only thing I was just going to ask was just if somebody is needing your services, as far as immigration, whether they're legally or illegally or whatever it is, what are some things that they need to go ahead and have in place before they come to see you?
Good question.
That they need to have in place?
Like if they what applications they need to have or what?
Oh, well, no, we would do so because a lot of times they may not know what they qualify for. So what I do is I'll bring them in for a consultation. And if they already know what they want to apply for, then when they come in, I'll already have the application there and we can try to hammer it out. And there's certain documents that, depending on the application, that I would have them bring in. But if they're not sure what they would qualify for, I almost have like a checklist, and I'll go through and I have a series of questions that I ask them to see what I can possibly apply for them on their behalf. And then after that initial consultation, I'll let them know, or during that consultation, what they qualify for. And we'll go through, filing fees, how much one application may be over another, which I think may be easier for them to get based upon their qualifications. And then I let them know what documents they're going to need to bring in. So there's nothing that they need to be have in hand on the initial consultation, unless they just know. If they know they want to do, the K-1 visa, well, before they get there, I'm going to tell them to bring, the pictures, not a marriage license because they're not married yet, but birth certificate, passport, different things, documents that I would have them bring in ahead of time. Hopefully that answers it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Okay. That's good. Thank you so much, Corletra. Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
So much for being on today.
Finally, on his 312th time.
You know how I do.
Thank you,
I'm out here ratchet. Ooh. For joining us, let the people know where they can find you if you're available for new clients. Let them know where they can find you at.
Yes. So I am located here in Nashville, Tennessee. My email address is Corletra. That's CORLETRA at mylawyertennessee. Tennessee is spelled out, unfortunately, .com. The website is mylawyertennessee.com as well. So that's how you can reach me. Phone number 615-742-5373.
That means, and you gotta have that money. Don't play with the money neither. Don't play with the
bag.
Don't be like Master P and leave the E off Tennessee.
Right.
Tennessee with 2 E's.
Oh, he do. Yeah. Don't.
2 E's. That is correct.
Well, listen, man. It seems we have way too many feelings about immigration in America today. But Doctor, did you get your questions answered? Because I want to make sure you got everything. You good? All the snot out your system?
Yeah.
All right.
Everything is clear.
You don't need no music next. You good? Okay.
Nah.
Thank you all for having me.
I don't sound like the other guy.
oh.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Young Corletra.
Well, listen.
Freddie Mance, Esquire.
Send us a message. Our handles are in the description below. Let us know how you feel about immigration in America today. We'd love to hear your feedback. This has been a good one. I've been here with
Shemaine Man Freddie B and build that wall. Build that wall.
Okay, you taking it back to 2016, ain't you, Freddie B? He's out now.
Yep.
And who else we had?
It's the good doctor, Dr. Buddy Lee, and I don't know if that wall is going to hold anybody back because, El Chapo found ways to go up under the wall.
That's real talk. Hey, but guess what, though? We still don't know how you the good doctor. You keep putting that on your name. I'm going to need some patience to verify this good doctor stuff. And our special guest of the evening,
Attorney Corletra Mance.
All right. Listen, and I've been yours truly, T. Staples. And make sure you catch us next time when we have too many feelings. Peace.